So I love being in business. I love training entrepreneurs. I also train grassroots leaders how to advocate for their good causes. And I used to publish a directory called The Big Black Book, and that was a directory of hundreds of businesses, black-owned in New York City, and that still is my claim to fame. People
That's what we still remember you by.
yes, and of course, knowing Cherry in her work, juxtaposed with my work, we are always in one big happy family. I'm so happy to see. I have to also say, look on my Instagram page, and you'll see me campaigning for the governor. The only, after all those years, it's the only time I ever campaigned for governor. I got my Brian Roach t-shirt. They had a t-shirt contest. We had to make it all fancy. And I was so happy to do it. I've seen the Virgin Islands at a peak, and I've seen it at a low, and I see it on the rise, especially St. Croix. It used to be a bustling place, and I think we could have it be bustling again, so I was all too happy to hear about this venture and any ways that I can support the relationships and whatever you need to do here. I still live in Brooklyn, and I will be here for as long as the good Lord lets me do so. And so just ask me anything you want to know about Brooklyn. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Oh, hey. Siren Lake, Avi Luscious from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. I'm the manager of global affairs. We're actually taking a delegation to London next week. Our business is, so we're working on that. But it's really great to work with Terry, Anthony, and the rest of the team. We're really looking forward to partnering together more. We're doing a lot of international work. We did a test bed program with South Korea. So this is just hopefully a start of many more things to come.
Awesome, great, thank you.
And thank you so much for all you do,
Hello everyone, welcome to Brooklyn and Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. My name is Kathy Lee. We saved the best for last, right?
Yes.
Just a little joke. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I've been in all 5 boroughs. We have 5 boroughs here in New York City, Brooklyn being the best and the largest. I've worked, gone to public schooling, as well as lived in all boroughs except Staten Island. I myself am the Executive VP and General Counsel of Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. I oversee our very exciting and rich global practice here, where I have 2 other colleagues that I work with, and this is our delight to invite friends from other lands and to partner and make our economies both stronger and better. So welcome everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't hi everybody.
That's right.
Governor, the best for last.
There you go. I spoke earlier, but I kind of want to tell you the vision, because I think a lot of times I sit at the top of this pile and I can see it all happening, but a lot of people that live it cannot see it. And economic development is my best and favorite subject. I spent 8 years at the Economic Development Authority as chairman, as well as chairman of the Government Development Bank. I spent 8 years as Commissioner of Labor. So the workforce development stuff that you're talking about, very near and dear to me. And the Virgin Islands problem is poverty. And it's a poverty of economics, but it's also a poverty of the mind. Because there's so much opportunity there, but people can't see it. And my job is to bring economic opportunities to our students. I tell people this statistic because it's one of my favorite. I have a gajillion. There are 33,000 tax filers in the Virgin Islands. During COVID, that number raised to 45,000. That's the first fact. But out of those 33,000 tax records that were filed, 89 people pay 66% of all our income tax. And if you add another 3,000 people, that's about 80% of our income tax. So there is only the gross receipts and the income tax and then corporate income tax in the Virgin Islands. That's the source of income. There's some other property tax and other stuff, but those are the main sources. And my job is to create economic activity that move people out of poverty, which moves our territory out. And I often say, strong individuals make strong families, make strong communities, make a strong territory. And so along that line, we've done a lot of stuff to really now solidify our educational piece. In the Virgin Islands, the only state in the Union where if you graduate from high school, you go to college for free in the Virgin Islands. Right now we're working on universal internet, so everywhere in the Virgin Islands will have ubiquitous 5 megabit internet service for free, everywhere. The things that we are doing are looking towards this future community. We're 100,000 people with a $12 billion recovery. When I started, it was an $8 billion recovery. By the time I'm done, it'll probably be a $19 billion recovery. Just to put that in context, our budget is only $1.2 billion a year. So you're talking about putting an additional, at best, $800 million in every year. I mean, it is good for business people. If we were successful, we could get $800 million into our economy, which is crazy, right? Because I mean, the total economy is only a $4 billion economy. So you're talking about 20% of the economy injected in government spending alone every single year. For 4 years, if I do that, I would only spend $3.2 billion. So there's $12 billion already on the table, potential, and that's going to keep growing to $19 billion. So the growth is, I've never understood better how growth kills you. We're growing at a pace that's incredible. A couple of things that we need to fix that is going to make our economy move even faster, and I'm working on those things now. The major thing is energy. Our energy is at about 43 cents a kilowatt hour. If I can just reduce that by 8 cents, which we will, our economy will be on super fire. The tax benefits and everything else, along with our public sector recovery, our private sector is on fire too. Our tourism is up, our unemployment is down to 4%. Most of our major resorts are still closed. We haven't even opened up those. Our marine sector is booming, our cargo is booming, our airports are just about to be revived. So it's a good time to be governor, but we're doing the things too to attract people. We're offering up to $250,000 grant for your first home purchase. That's creating some inflation as well. Because there's such pressure now being put on the housing market to take advantage of this. So when I come and I do these things now, Tech Park and all the stuff we're doing, we're really trying to figure out, when we get out of this super construction period, how do we have real growth and sustainability for a $700 million hospital, one of which will be on each island? How do you keep that thing cool, keep people employed, especially since we're working from a place now where 37% of our people live below the poverty line. So now more than ever, it's like no one can afford to stay at home and just sit down. So one of the things I always try to do is tell people of the incredible opportunity that looks in the Virgin Islands now. And with this global revolution through COVID, if you could work from anywhere, right? Why not work from here? And that it caught on, but it's funny how as we move further and further away from the COVID pandemic, how we get closer and closer back to how we used to be before. So things have changed, and COVID has allowed us to do some incredible things and do things that I never thought would be possible within my lifetime in terms of digitization. We have an incredible telehealth, telenetwork things that we're doing. We're still doing about $50 million in broadband revitalization at least. And I gotta get all these things done. Well, most of them. Within the next 3 years and 10 months. I always tell people I'm like Martin Luther King. I might not get to the promised land. But we certainly are on this economic journey. And I said this morning why Tony is so important, because we created the Vision 2040 plan, but it was created by the people. And the people can't see out of the forest. It's too many trees. And we need people from outside, people who have different experiences, Virgin Islanders, non-Virgin Islanders, to look back in and say, hey, I see this opportunity, I see that opportunity, this is where we can expand. And we need new Virgin Islanders. We were trying to grow our population by what, 15%?
But we're trying to get to what, pre-2012 levels, which is about 15%.
Yeah, so we need.
And then the census came out, so that even
Exactly, that's what I'm just saying. So we need people. One of the things about Taiwan is one of all the a lot of the South Pacific Islands, the most populated places. And right now we think like, it's too many people. We could do a lot more with a lot more people, and it creates economy of scale. Last thing, people say 87,000 people, you get a 1.2 billion budget. This is what I tell people. We have to do everything the state of New York has to do on St. Thomas. Then we got to do it again on St. Croix, and then do half of it again on St. John. So that's why it's so expensive. So all these opportunities, challenges, but real opportunities for you to come to the Virgin Islands, grow. And this is going to be happening for the next 15 years, at least. Just government spending, and that's without anything else happening between now and then. So, just wanted to
All right, so in the interest of time, I like the energy, I like the flow, so Randy and I agreed that what we're going to do is have Randy do his presentation. And what we're going to do, because it's a roundtable discussion and it's a robust engagement, those who are here at the table after Randy has presented, you're going to talk a little bit about, not talk about your agency, but let's talk about some of the projects that you guys are currently spearheading, so we can start looking at synergies, opportunities for, very target specific opportunities that we can work together. So Randy?
So thank you, Anthony. Just a quick, I'm going to go through 1/3 of my presentation because it's the part I think is going to matter the most given what the context you just laid out. By the way, that was super helpful in that context. 1:30-ish, we got to hit the road. Jim Simos is here, Managing Director of Ministry City. And I really, truly think it's going to be super helpful for you to see what we've been able to do in this little corner of Brooklyn from an adaptive reuse perspective, but also from that creative economy generation perspective. So that's why, and it's just really cool to see it if you haven't taken the tour here. But I'm going to do the Brooklyn portion of this. By the way, is it Amina, right? Yeah. Amina, I appreciate what you said about how do we get those U.S. Virgin Islanders back. And by the way, Ghana, we do a lot of work with Ghana in West Africa. We have 5 advanced international relationships. Ghana is our second most important. First is Seoul, Korea. Ghana had right of return, which I thought was brilliant. And it really helped spur a lot of Americans who trace any part of their ancestry back to Western Africa, not even Ghana per se, were eligible for right of return. And that has actually helped people helped them to attract investment from Americans who just go there at first because they're curious and they want to understand their history and their ancestry and things like that. And then they parlayed that into beyond the return. W.E.B. Boys Museum is being built there, and they're raising money for that here. So I very much appreciate what you're saying. I mean, the beauty of if you're from the U.S. Virgin Islands, like you can go back and forth, like you said, right? So you can be here, you can be there. I'm speaking like you, but I would say, but you can park your money there. You can come here when you want, right? So I appreciate that. I didn't want you to think.
I won't take all of it.
Yeah.
I'll give you some version.
But I'm also hearing like, okay, beyond that, like we can attract talented people who want to be here, like because that's what Brooklyn did, right? How do we attract talented people who want to be here, and then when they get here, they all become Brooklyn. You know what I mean? It's like that's how we've done it.
And having a business in Brooklyn and the Virgin Islands is another thing that people want to do.
That's right. And you can do that now, and tech is so key because that's the easiest transferable right now. That's the easiest transferable.
Yeah. What you said in reference to attraction of place, I like to call it quality place.
Right, quality.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of you know, how we can attract individuals back. I mean, when we did Vision 2040, from our surveys, we not only did the surveys of residents in the territory, we also did the Virgin Islands and diaspora.
Right.
And about 60% of them said they would return to the Virgin Islands under the right circumstances. So quality of place is a big part, and that's what we're trying to develop as we move forward and work with the government reference to some workforce housing and a variety of different things to create that quality of place.
I get it. So here's Brooklyn by the numbers, 72 square miles, 26 square miles of waterfront. If we were a city, we'd be the fourth largest city in the United States with almost 2.8 million people. We were once our own city over a century ago, and then we voted to become part of New York City. We're a young borough. The median age is 35 and a half years, and that gets to some of this transformation story, which I'll talk about. More than a third of our residents are foreign-born, and 40% or more speak another language other than English at home. Spanish and Chinese are probably the two most widely spoken other languages in the borough of Brooklyn, but we speak Greek, we speak Italian, we speak Creole, Haitian Creole, we speak you name it. And then Brooklyn now contributes 47% or more of New York City's economic growth. We are leading the way in economic recovery because we, unlike Manhattan, were not reliant on office workers coming back to office, because we were more of a residential borough. So actually, if you're working from home, you're probably shopping more local, and therefore our commercial corridors have done better than the commercial corridors from a small business perspective than those in Manhattan.
Question.
Yes.
Has working from home changed where you pay income tax? Has that affected you? Because one of the things that we found was the Virgin Islands, when they did their economic development studies, that we get 7 to 8 turns of our money because people don't drive out of the Virgin Islands to go live. Now that we have people at home for COVID, are you making them pay income tax?
So Brooklyn doesn't have its own income tax.